We all remember the shy teenager with the voice of an angel who brought Simon Cowell to his knees. But the man standing before us in 2026 is a complete stranger. For years, the question echoed through the music industry like a haunting melody. What actually happened to Jonathan Antoine? After skyrocketing to global fame on Britain's Got Talent, Jonathan didn't just step out of the spotlight. He seemed to evaporate. While other stars from the franchise leaned into the reality TV circuit or signed massive branding deals, Jonathan retreated into a world of silence that sparked a firestorm of speculation. Rumors began to circulate in dark corners of the internet that the pressure of the industry had finally broken him, or worse, that a health crisis had forced him into an early retirement. Fans were left scrolling through old performance clips, wondering if the youngest tenor to ever top the charts had simply given up on the gift that made him a household name. But as the clock struck midnight on this latest announcement, it became clear that the silence wasn't a sign of defeat. It was a calculated period of reconstruction. The industry had written him off as a one-hit wonder of the operatic world, a relic of a 2012 talent show, yet the whispers of his return have reached a fever pitch. People are demanding to know where he's been, who he's become, and why he chose this exact moment to break his multi-year silence. This isn't just a comeback. It's a re-emergence of a man who has been fighting battles we knew nothing about behind closed doors. And as we peel back the layers of his absence, the truth is far more complex than any tabloid headline could ever capture. The physical shift. A man transformed. If you saw him walking down the street today, you wouldn't just fail to recognize him. You'd likely walk right past the man who was once the face of modern opera. The images surfacing in early 2026 have sent shockwaves through the fandom, revealing a physical transformation that is nothing short of jarring. Jonathan has reportedly shed over 4 stone, a staggering 56 pounds, but it's not just the weight loss that has people talking. It's the sheer discipline of his new reality. For a man who once struggled with the immense physical toll of his own frame, this shift represents a total psychological overhaul. Sources close to the singer suggest that this change wasn't about vanity or fitting into the pop star mold that the industry tried to force him into years ago. Instead, it was a desperate bid for survival. He reportedly committed to a grueling regimen of 10,000 steps a day, a simple yet transformative habit that allowed him to reclaim a body that he felt had betrayed him during his youth. But with this new look came a wave of darker speculations. Some worried that the rapid change was a sign of a secret illness, while others suggested that the special announcement might involve a complete pivot away from his classical roots. The mystery deepened when Jonathan began posting cryptic updates, showing a version of himself that looked leaner, stronger, and significantly more intense. He's no longer the gentle giant the media fell in love with. He's a man who has clearly undergone a trial by fire. This physical evolution is the first major clue in the puzzle of his 2026 return, signaling that the Jonathan Antoine we thought we knew is officially gone, replaced by someone far more formidable and focused. The hidden diagnosis. Recontextualizing the past while the world was busy judging his weight and his awkwardness on stage, Jonathan was trapped in a mental prison that he didn't even have a name for until it was almost too late. Perhaps the most explosive revelation in recent years was Jonathan's late-stage diagnosis of autism at the age of 27. To the casual observer, this might seem like a simple piece of medical history, but for Jonathan, it was a scary recontextualization of every single moment of his life. For over a decade, he had been navigating the shark-infested waters of the music industry without the proper tools to understand why he felt so fundamentally different. This diagnosis explains the harrowing experiences he often alluded to, the sensory overloads, the social exhaustion, and the deep-seated anxiety that nearly ended his career before it truly began. The news of his diagnosis acted as a lightning rod for controversy, with some questioning why the talent show producers hadn't protected him better, while others praised his bravery for speaking out in an industry that demands perfection. This wasn't just a personal milestone. It was a total breakdown of the persona he had been forced to maintain. He admitted that the diagnosis felt like finally finding the key to a lock he'd been picking his entire life. But the struggle didn't end there. Coming to terms with this new identity meant stepping away from the opera prodigy narrative and confronting the reality that he was a neurodivergent man in a world that rarely makes room for such honesty. This internal battle is what fueled his disappearance, and it is the very foundation of the special announcement he is now ready to share with the world. The industry hit. The truth about the split behind the scenes of his 2014 split from Charlotte Jaconelli, a ruthless corporate game was being played that would leave both singers forever changed. For years, the narrative was simple. The duo had naturally outgrown their partnership. But the 2026 perspective reveals a much darker reality involving major record labels and a divide-and-conquer strategy. Sources indicate that the duo was presented with a brutal ultimatum. They were offered separate, lucrative solo deals that were contingent on them breaking up. It was a classic industry hit, designed to maximize profit by doubling the brand, regardless of the emotional cost to the artists. Jonathan, who had always viewed Charlotte as his rock and his shield against the world, was suddenly thrust into a solo spotlight he never asked for. This wasn't just a professional breakup. It was a traumatic severing of the only safety net he had. The rumors of a feud between the two have been largely debunked, but the resentment toward the industry's manipulation remains a hot topic. Jonathan's decision to move away from major labels in the years following the split was seen as a rebellion against the very people who tried to commodify his friendship. He reportedly felt exposed and used by the corporate machine, leading to his eventual retreat from the mainstream. Now, as he prepares his special announcement, many believe he is finally ready to reveal the full extent of the pressure he faced during those dark years, and how he managed to claw back his creative independence from the people who tried to own his voice. The financial and career mystery. The cost of silence. You don't just walk away from a multi-million-dollar career unless something goes catastrophically wrong, or you're planning something much bigger. One of the biggest questions surrounding Jonathan Antoine is the financial reality of his hiatus. After becoming the youngest tenor to reach the top of the charts, the money should have been pouring in. Yet, Jonathan moved into a phase of his life that felt surprisingly low-key, leading to rampant speculation that he had been cheated out of his earnings, or that his legal battles with former management had drained his accounts. In the world of YouTube automation and celebrity gossip, this is the missing millions narrative that keeps viewers clicking. However, the truth seems to be more about a strategic withdrawal. Instead of chasing the next big paycheck, Jonathan focused on self-funding his projects, which is a risky move for any artist, let alone one in the expensive world of classical music. This period of financial mystery was actually a period of intense investment in his own autonomy. He refused to be a puppet for the highbrow classical establishment, which often demands a certain level of conformity. The rumors of him being broke or finished were fueled by his lack of public appearances, but insiders suggest he was quietly building a kingdom of his own. The 2026 announcement is expected to address this head-on, showcasing a man who is no longer beholden to the gatekeepers of the industry. He has spent his time away from the cameras, ensuring that when he did return, he would do so on his own terms, with his own money, and with a voice that can no longer be silenced by a contract. The special announcement. The news you've been waiting for. The wait is finally over, but the announcement Jonathan is making isn't just about a new song. It's about the total rebirth of an icon. As we reach the climax of this story, the details of the 2026 special announcement are starting to crystallize. On January 13, 2026, Jonathan is set to release All of Me, a track that is rumored to be a radical departure from anything he has done before. But the announcement goes deeper than a single release. There is heavy speculation that Jonathan is launching his own independent label and a global tour that focuses on neurodivergent-friendly concert experiences, a first for the classical world. This isn't just a career move, it's a manifesto. He is stepping into the role of an advocate, using his platform to bridge the gap between elite music and the forgotten fans who struggle with the traditional concert environment. The news you've been waiting for is the confirmation that Jonathan Antoine has survived the meat grinder of child stardom and emerged as a fully realized independent artist. He has taken the shocking elements of his life, the weight loss, the diagnosis, the industry betrayal, and woven them into a new narrative of strength. As the final notes of his silence fade away, we are left with a man who has reclaimed his name and his future. The question is no longer what happened to Jonathan Antoine, but rather, how far can he go now that the chains are off? The world is watching, and for the first time in over a decade, Jonathan is the one in control of the story.